So welcome to today's video at how to mix Galaxy Black from the super granulating watercolors of Schmincke Horadam. Like you already know, if you are taking a look at that paper and have seen a lot of my other videos, you know I don't have the original version because we only have one big box. So I had to, of course, take a look at the product photos from the company, how to recreate this, just how to know how exactly does the color look like. We do, as in most cases, have a two pigment mix. The first one is a PBK 11, which is your black iron oxide or iron oxide black, or also named Lunar Black, Mars Black, Aquarius Black, depending on which brand you are buying. That is definitely a pigment I highly recommend having in your collection, especially if you like granulation and color separation effect. In my opinion, that is an absolute must-have. It is normally a pigment that is very cheap. Just take a look at what brand you're using, because the pigment can be depending the brand, of course, more expensive than others. I have the Lunar Black from Daniel Smith here, which is a very strongly granulating one. The Schmincke version doesn't granulate as strongly as this one. I know Roman Schmal, for example, offers 3 different granulation version, from fine to rough. So there's definitely a big difference in what brand you're using, depending on how strong the color is granulating. That's the first. Like I said, the pricing is the second. For example, normally it's a super cheap pigment, always a series 1, but the cobalt black, which is a very similar color or pigment from Mijello, is cheaper here in Germany for me than the Daniel Smith version, because Daniel Smith watercolors are super expensive in Germany. So, like I said, depending on where you live, take a look at the pricings if you don't have the pigment already. The second pigment is PB29 Ultramarine Blue. Also using the Daniel Smith version, the French ultramarine, because it is a strongly granulating version and is very good for mixes like that. I do recommend using ultramarine blue that at least, if not strongly, is in the medium granulating range. Don't use versions like an ultramarine finest. Some brands offer that, like Schmincke, or I think Lucas also offers something like that, or any brand's ultramarine blue that maybe isn't named ultramarine finest but still is a super low granulating one. Those are not very very good for mixes like that. Of course, always, if you are using a color and a black in a mix, you need a lot more of the color than you're having the black, because the black will overpower it otherwise. So be careful in adding the PBK 11 into the mix, because you very easily take too much PBK 11 and overpower your other color. Basically, that mix is very similar or identical, just with another pigment, like the dusk colors from Van Gogh or Rembrandt, or like, for example, the Lunar Blue from Daniel Smith, which uses the same mix, just not an ultramarine blue, it is an phthalo blue, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why I say, if you are into color separation and granulation, PBK 11 is an absolute must-have in my personal opinion, just because you can easily make your own dusk colors with whatever color you are having. Combining it with a PBK 11, you always will have a beautiful looking, strongly color separation effect going on color in the end. So definitely, my personal opinion is, if you are into granulation and color separation, do definitely get a PBK 11. And which brand you're getting is not really important, because they are always amazing colors. I haven't had, at least so far, one in my collection that doesn't look good or wouldn't be suitable for mixes like that because it doesn't granulate enough. So I think most versions are just fine. Just take a look at which is most affordable in your area. So in the end, in the first time you are mixing it, it will look a lot like, depending on what kind of blue you're using, reminding you a little bit to either an indigo, if it's more like if you're using an phthalo blue, or in that case, reminding you a little bit of a Payne's gray, a very bluish kind of black. But this colors mixed with a PBK 11 normally starts to separate as soon as you are putting your brush away. If it's still super wet, you already can see the separation going on. It's super interesting to watch because yeah, it almost starts immediately. It's very, very yeah, amazing to see. So in the end, we will get a color that is very much visible, split into bluish and blackish areas, where we barely have any areas where you really have the feeling that those two pigments are mixed with each other. Of course, like I said, the Schmincke version granulates less than the Daniel Smith version, so the original version will be a little bit less dramatic than my version. So that is, of course, something to keep in mind. As always, with pigments like PBK 11 or PB29, where we have various options from super low up to super strong granulating versions, you will, of course, get different results depending on which versions you're using. There are other pigments that always have a more similar strength in granulation going on, but those two pigments definitely can vary a lot. So that is something to keep in mind. But in the end, it is a very nice color, in my opinion, but mixes with one color and the PBK 11 are so easy to recreate yourself, in my personal opinion. That is, of course, as always, a nice to have but not must have situation. But like I said, this is a super easy mix, super beginner friendly. So in my personal opinion, spend your money more on single pigment colors and not on this mix, because this one is so easy to recreate yourself. So imagine if you are buying a PBK 11, if you haven't had one already, sorry, sometimes I'm doing it wrong with the times. Then it is your money is better invested in a PBK 11, because you will get so many options with that. Like I said, you can mix greens with it, every kind of green, blues, yellows, oranges, reds, pinks, purples, violets, turquoises, whatever color you are having in your collection is mixable with a PBK 11 to recreate another beautiful color. So the options you're having with buying a Galaxy Black versus buying a PBK 11 are so different. So that is just the reason why I think the money is best invested in a single pigment PBK 11 if you haven't have that one already. And if you do have it already, there are a lot of other pigments you probably don't have, which are probably better spend your money in. It isn't that I don't say the color isn't nice and beautiful. It is definitely a nice and beautiful color. I do like it. but it is such a super, super easy color to recreate. Those mixes with a PBK11 and any other color are basically the best beginner options in how to mix your own super granulating color, because those are the most easiest mixes you can make. So that is just the reason why I say it is, in my opinion, only if you say this special mix you're using tons of, or money doesn't matter, something like that, and otherwise I would rather spend the money on other colors. So yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. Hope this video was interesting and helpful, and yeah, as always, a thumbs up or a follow is very much appreciated, because it really, really helps me in the channel. So yeah, hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching and joining me today, and hope to see you soon. Bye bye.